indeed include the Sharia governance, Sharia committees for each Takaful operator. The regulations ensure that Takaful business is conducted professionally, transparently, and in a manner that safeguards the interests of the participants. As I said earlier on, for many years before, people have been asking us that I have been insuring for 10, 20 years, and I have never claimed. But I have never benefited other than me continuing to pay. Therefore, Sharia compliant insurance makes you a beneficiary. If you insure and you safeguard that business well and it makes profits, you also share in that profit. If you are negligent or if you suffer loss, you must also contribute because you are part of the system. Ladies and gentlemen, according to a report of 2023 on the Islamic finance sector in Africa, the Takaful market remains nascent and free, and it is indeed compared to conventional insurance. Many African countries have only adopted Takaful frameworks. The region has some active Takaful markets, notably in countries such as Sudan, which has historically had a comprehensive Takaful sector, as well as the emerging or partial presence in some other economies like in Egypt, Tunisia, Kenya, Nigeria, Senegal, South Africa, Zambia, and some others. I'm excluding the Middle East because we definitely know what is happening there. The global Takaful market was valued at about $36.6 billion in the year 2024. According to one forecast, the global market is expected to grow to roughly $37.3 billion by the year 2033. This implies that the annual growth rate of Takaful operators will be between 8 to 9% over the years 2025 up to 2033. Takaful is still in its early stages across most of African countries, while there is growth. Indeed, sometimes we have also seen some countries registering double-digit growth year on year in specific markets, but the volumes of premiums underwritten remain modest. Growing regulatory interest, therefore, and raising demand among those who yearn for Islamic insurance suggest significant potential for expansion. There is growing evidence that Takaful can expand insurance coverage among the populations that prefer the Sharia-compliant solutions because it offers both moral and ethical fit and often simpler risk-sharing mechanisms. Ladies and gentlemen, the newly gazetted regulations of Takaful was a product of extensive consultations with our stakeholders. The rigorous analysis which was done by the team at the Insurance Regulatory Authority, among others, and other stakeholders. And also, it is as a result of benchmarks which were done both regionally and internationally. We engaged with global and Ugandan Islamic scholars, industry experts, and our future partners in the Takaful industry. Our goal was clear: to create a framework that is both robust and safeguards the interests of the policyholders, while at the same time being agile to promoting innovation. The new framework ensures three things, among others. One, policyholders' protection. The segregation of funds and operations ensures that the participants, when they make contributions, are managed with the highest degree of fiduciary care. The second is the financial stability. Strong capital adequacy and governance requirements are put in place to ensure that there is a long-term sustainability of Takaful operators. And three is the market confidence. Clear rules on Sharia compliance and Sharia governance structures are established on Sharia compliance and Sharia governance structures are established on Sharia compliance and Sharia governance structures are established on Sharia compliance and Sharia governance structures are established
Thank you very much, CEO, for those insightful and inspiring remarks. CEO, we deeply appreciate your leadership and the clear direction you have set as we advance the Takaful agenda in Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my absolute pleasure to invite our keynote speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Walus Islamic University in Uganda. He is a lecturer, Department of Religion and Peace Studies, Makerere University. Dr. Fiz is also the chairman of the board, Insurance Training College. He is a regional Sharia consultant of the International Institute of Islamic Thought. He is a Sharia consultant for the Micro Finance Support Center, Islamic Development Bank, and he's also a certified professional mediator. Dr. Fiz, I would like to welcome you to deliver your keynote speech. Let's give him a round of applause.
May I request the ICT people to display my presentation? Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. The CEO of the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda, Alhaji Dr. Ibrahim Lubega Kadunabi, the directors of different units at IRA, the President General of Juma and Zukuli in Uganda, the representative of the Office of the Supreme Mufti, the Director, Islamic University in Uganda, Kampala Campus, Dr. Twa Ahmed Kasule, insurance players, representatives of companies, ladies and gentlemen, because we are launching the Takaful and Retakaful regulations, allow me also to salute you with the best salutation. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I want first of all to take this honor to express my sincere gratitude to the organizers of this event, but earlier before, to the big brains that had worked tirelessly through this journey across several milestones to see us here. When we stand here today to launch, we are launching something that has taken time to be well prepared. And that's why it is so important that we really appreciate those efforts. Mr. CEO, before you came, the Master of Ceremonies has given us an update on the journey that Takaful has passed through in order to reach where we are. I must also say that I am so humbled that among the many people, the many experts in this country, I have been identified to come and share with you of what I think to be the future of Takaful in Uganda, focusing on opportunities and challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, my presentation is going to be brief for one major reason. Takaful, it is a specialization now, undertaken at bachelor's level, master's level, and even PhD levels. So I cannot deceive myself that I can actually delve into the nitty-gritties of these specializations. I am going to share with you the general overview. What are the principles of Takaful? What are the opportunities, challenges, and what could be the takeaways as we leave this place? In the general overview, it is a consensus that the occurrence of emergencies and need for a clear plan for mitigation, it is almost agreed upon. There is no doubt about it. None of us is certain about what should take place tomorrow. And maybe even tomorrow, it is an exaggeration. You don't know what can take place in the next 1 minute. So if that is a position of consensus, it calls for prior planning, for emergencies, for eventualities. And before we could talk about the future, we can't just skip to it and ignore the present. Before we talk about the future, how does the present look like? There is a lot that could be said about the present, but I summarized it in a situation that is characterized by conventional dominance and unmet demands. Where we are now, we are talking about the conventional insurance. We have many companies, and this is the dominant situation. But on the other side, there are certain demands which are not yet met. There are certain needs that are calling for being addressed. There is a section of our community that is not ready to join the conventional setup, yet the need for them is also standing. I have shared some examples. Today we are talking about an influx of many foreign companies in Uganda. Some of those companies have reservations on conventional insurance. We are also talking about the foreigners' businesses in petroleum, in education, among others. There is no doubt that all those businesses are prone to risks, but at the same time they feel that this is not a go area for us. They cannot join the conventional setup, but also they don't have somewhere to go. Even some individuals. If you ask me, for instance, do you have a health insurance cover? I will say I don't. Why? Because the existing one is not in line with the faith that I profess. So the coming of the Takaful and Retakaful, it is indeed a celebration in order to help the community to address those demands. So Takaful, which is Islamic insurance, it is a response to a global demand for the community that has reservations about the capitalist system, which is actually the mother of the conventional insurance system. As the CEO has informed us, it is an alternative to the conventional system, and thus offering opportunity for variety. You know, it is not healthy at all that you force all people to face a certain direction. It is not healthy at all that you only serve a certain kind of food. But whenever you enter somewhere and there is variety for the vegetarians, for those ones who find it okay with beef and so on, that is the way how we can actually complement each other, and that is the way how we can go on. So this is actually the spirit behind the introduction of Islamic insurance. Islamic insurance is about joint responsibility or guarantee based on mutual agreement, as we shall be looking at it. What are some of the fundamentals? The fundamental principles, one is mutual help, protection, and responsibility in the form of what you can call munno mukabi. It is about risk sharing. It's about the fact that all of us are prone to risks. But should there be one of us suffering that risk, we all come together so that we can help him get out of that. Another fundamental principle is about equity participation according to agreed upon models. Of course, like we have some policies, like we have different types of conventional insurance, we also have different models. The Wakala model, the Mudaraba model, the hybrid model, among others, which I think that throughout this journey, we have had at least some familiarization with such models. And if not, still we can have more time to look into that. Then distribution of surplus or deficit arising from the business. When I was reading through the regulations, and you go to regulation 21, it clearly captures that one. And we are yet to see it in the diagram that I'm going to display in the next slide. Then Sharia compliance, which comes actually as Rule 18 of the regulations that we have come to launch today. And under this compliance, one, there are certain restrictions. There are certain prohibitions. Sharia does not accept interest-based dealing. Riba is not acceptable. And when we look into the conventional system, in one way or another, there is an involvement of interest. Sharia does not approve gharar, that is uncertainty. And in one way or another, when we try to interrogate the conventional system, there is uncertainty. Sharia does not approve haram investments. So, as you could see that it is appearing even in regulation number 22 of two of these regulations that we have come to launch. So meaning that if we are to go takaful, those prohibitions must be avoided. At the same time, there are certain do's. If you are to involve or if you are to participate in the Sharia compliant takaful, then ethical values is key. Values such as transparency, because at the end of the day you will have to disclose. I am happy to read Regulation 17, which talks about disclosure. It is about trust, that is mutual trust. It is about truthfulness. So it is because of those ethical values, and it is because of those prohibitions that we declare this kind of an arrangement to be a Sharia compliant arrangement. Of course, when we talk about it in such a simple way, somebody could think that it is as easy as that. But of course, there is a lot that requires the Sharia committee to be around in order to ensure that each and every step, starting from the product development and so on, the marketing and so on, all of them comply with Sharia. Now, I have chosen that model just to refresh our minds. How does it work? I have just said that there are other models. It starts with the participants. And these participants, they make an agreement that they are going to contribute, to make contributions to a certain pool, which is the Takaful pool. And this is now the second step here. Now, once this pool is created, from the Sharia perspective, we need to utilize it. We need to make it work. Because from the Sharia perspective, once money is there, or once wealth is there, it is accumulated and it is just kept, then we shall have to invoke another Sharia issue, and that is zakah. So at the end of it, if you do not invest it, if you do not utilize it, after every year, we shall have a zakah levy. So that's why, once we have this pool here at the contribution, here we shall have the Takaful operator, who is now the Takaful company here, the insurance company here. So the insurance company here is going to do the work of investing this contribution. That's why you have the investment here. And we are optimistic that the investment, much as it can register losses, but we are optimistic that it can also bring profits. Now, once these profits are realized, we go to the next here. We have another pool here, of course, which is coming from this one. We have our contributions that we made, plus the profits which have been realized after investment. Now, it continues that at the end of it, these participants, of course, you know that they are key stakeholders in this contribution. At the end of it, when we come here, we shall ask ourselves, is there any of the participants who has had some issues, or those issues which have been insured against? Then we shall make the claims. We shall make the retros, plus something that we would like to maybe have into our reserve. Now, after making all these subtractions, whatever remains as surplus, we shall call these people here so that they can also share out of what has remained. So basically, that is how the Takaful works. Of course, there are some other models, but of course, the most important is that the participants here do not just stop at paying the premiums, and that's the end. At the end of it, they shall wait if there is anything here, and they shall be party in order to be part of those who benefit from that. So this is the basic model. Having said that, it takes me to the prospective opportunities. Uganda is a secular country. There is no doubt about it. But the introduction of Takaful, it is giving us a lot of hope in form of opportunities. The first is, we are lucky that we are having the supportive regulatory environment. Thumbs up to IRA for the great work that you have done. I know very well that in many situations, products might be there, but there is no any will, whether it is political or whether it is organizational. But the fact that we are here today to launch the Takaful and Retakaful regulations, I think that is a clear statement that our regulator is in for this, not only being interested, but really he wants this thing to be seen in action. So thank you so much, IRA, once again for that. Number two, financial inclusion. We know that we are living in a country whereby we have different communities. As a matter of fact, we have a community which is allergic to the conventional system. the only option they have is either to avoid, and we do not go into any insurance arrangement. If not, we do it forcefully. One time I was sharing with the director of IUIU Kampala campus, and he says that every year the university is supposed to insure its property, the buildings, the automobiles, and so on. But how much is the university paying in terms of premium? And at the end of it, there are also certain standard operational procedures for the university employees to make sure that they protect those properties. So year in, year out, we are paying, and then at the end of the day, that is over. Then we wait for another year. So at one moment, you will find out that we have those communities which feel that, okay, we are getting into this conventional because it is a requirement, we have no choice. But if we had any choice for the introduction of something that we are comfortable with, it shall be highly welcome. So Dr. Twaha, no more excuses. The door has been opened to you and others. So even when we talk about financial inclusion, it is also giving us sector growth. The growth of the insurance sector generally. It is also giving us increased penetration, at least from the 1% that we have always been talking about. You never know that maybe with the introduction of this variety, it can also influence the increment of penetration, and also the issue of alternatives, which I had actually talked about. Another opportunity is that the introduction of Takaful, it is giving us an opportunity for regional and international integration. We can no longer afford to live in isolation. Our neighbors, the Kenyans, they already have Takaful. Dr. Al-Hajj has talked about Sudan. It has Takaful. Countries like Malaysia. What about the OIC? The countries of Organization of Islamic Cooperation, of which Uganda is a member country. What about the GCC? You know, the GCC countries, those the Gulf Cooperation Council. You're talking about Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, among others. All those countries in one way or another, we meet somewhere. So, we are meeting with such people who are actually big stakeholders, and they have a certain system. And for us, we don't have such a system. So we are likely to miss. I have deliberately brought an example of avoiding regrets of missed opportunities. I think it is at this moment that I wish to share with the audience that you might be aware of the ongoing efforts of halal certification or halal compliance. And these efforts now are being spearheaded by big shots in the government. When you see these efforts going on, you need to ask, what is the motivation? What is pushing it? Uganda missed a very big opportunity to export its beef to World Cup in Qatar, simply because of lack of halal compliance. Should we wait to miss such coming opportunities to start Takaful? Thank you so much once again, IRA, that by the time those opportunities come, we cannot miss them the same way we missed when it came to halal compliance. The final prospective opportunity in the interest of time is knowledge and innovation. Of course, once we have Takaful, there are new courses that are going to be introduced. Some of them have already been introduced. In the Insurance Training College, where I am the board chair, we had already looked forward, and we have introduced the Takaful certificate, the Islamic Insurance Certificate. IUIU, it's already having a Department of Islamic Banking and Finance. And who knows, after seeing that Takaful is now a reality in Uganda, many other knowledge and innovational opportunities are yet to come. And also, we are also broadening the scope of innovation awards, I will be one of those who shall be much interested to see that in the annual innovation awards that is always made, or it is prepared, organized by IRA, we shall also be seeing some people innovating in Takaful, because I know it's possible. The fintechs. And once we have these innovations, we shall be affirming Uganda's potential impact for Islamic scholarship and benchmarks. Maybe this is something that some people don't know. When you look at this region, the East African region generally, and even Africa generally, research has indicated that Islamic scholarship starts from here. So with the introduction of Takaful, we shall be affirming and maybe reclaiming that lost glory as another opportunity. As I wind up, allow me to look at the challenges. Of course, I want to open this by a statement. Any opportunity devoid of challenges is not worth pursuing. Once you are somewhere doing something and you are in a comfort zone 100%, please wind up and leave. It is not worth pursuing. Any opportunity, it must come with challenges. That is where you shall actually enjoy it. Now, some of the challenges, number one is regulatory and institutional gaps. We are launching this, but it's not the end. We are yet to learn a lot once we roll up. And that's why the regulatory and institutional gaps shall be seen once we start practicing. More detailed regulations shall be needed due to human imperfections. Even the one that we have produced, maybe after reading, we shall find out that we need to do some amendments. If we had not had, have it in place, how should we know that there is a certain area that needs an amendment? So that's a challenge. But at the same time, I also look at it as an opportunity. Sharia compliance frameworks, as it is well captured in the regulations. We are yet to see the Sharia governance, the Sharia compliance networks, the Sharia committees, how do they work, and so on. And then the Retakaful limitations. We are talking about Takaful. So far, IRA has licensed one Takaful company, and then this is actually calling for the Retakaful. And this is a challenge, but at the same time, I also look at it as an opportunity that once we start, there shall be demand for more, and once we have demand for more, we shall think more, and therefore we shall have much. Another issue is a complementary legal framework. In case of disputes, in case of misunderstandings, are the courts of law ready to entertain these disputes? The insurance tribunal, is it ready to entertain disputes which are going to arise from the Takaful? Maybe it shall require that they will have to hire a Sharia expert to be part of that tribunal, which is a challenge, but also I look at it as an opportunity. Another issue is a change of mindset. As a matter of fact, many of us are comfortable with the status quo. We don't want to change. Even when you see an opportunity coming and slapping your face, still, you don't want to turn to it. So we are still having that challenge of being comfortable with the status quo. We don't want to change our mindset because of the long-time penetration and satisfaction with the conventional insurance. And that's why you will see that up to now, we were in a certain conference some time back, COVID had taught us to do things differently, especially online and digital. And one of the professors from Germany, he told us that you cannot accept. Germans, up to now, they are still hesitant to cope up with the online or the digital way of doing things because they are comfortable with the traditional way that they were doing it. So that one could also be a challenge. The second last, of course, is misconception. I'm happy that the regulator has hinted on it. Ladies and gentlemen, let it be known that Takaful, it is not for Muslims. just like many people take it, that's a religious product for Muslim, and some of them say that it is a tool that is going to be used in order for Islam to dominate. There are many, many other ways how actually which Islam can use in order to spread the message. So, that is also a misconception that is standing. You remember some time back, even somebody stood up, he was talking about halal compliance and says that UNBS, you must come out and do something. Why are you allowing halal certification? No, we are in a free market. Enter the supermarket. If you want this product, go for it. If I want this product, I go for it. And that is a spirit of peaceful coexistence. And that's all. So, there is no any problem for a member of another faith to choose Takaful. That is if he feels or she feels that that is what gives him or her comfort. So it has very little to do with being a Muslim product. It is a product that can be consumed by any person irrespective of the religious affiliation. The last is shortage of skilled professionals. Of course, this is a product that requires for Sharia compliance. At IUIU, the Department of Sharia, which I'm heading, we are doing a lot in order to produce Sharia graduates who, by the way, shall need specialized training in Takaful. So, at the moment, we might be suffering from that shortage, but along the way, the moment the demand is there, we shall also have to pull up our socks to see that we meet that demand. And of course, finally, which is known as limited awareness and understanding. Our communities are not yet sensitized, but along the way, we shall see how we can surmount that one. Finally, what are the takeaways? One, stakeholder engagements. These are some of the recommendations that I would like to make in this keynote, that it is a continuous process, that we need to continue engaging the stakeholders through the workshops, the symposia, the galas, among others, so that Takaful is known side by side with the conventional insurance. Number two is international and local participation and training. I had already said that ITC had already started the Takaful certificate. IUIU is already having some courses. Even across the borders, there are many, many other participations that we need in order to see that this one takes root. The third is multi-sector engagements. Of course, the insurance sector, it cannot act in isolation. It needs to engage other sectors. For instance, education, which personally I see as a potential client when it comes to Takaful. We have many academic institutions, especially established by Muslims, and they really feel that Takaful could be better for them. So, we need to engage such people, and also we need to engage other sectors like the judiciary. I am happy also to announce that on Saturday, this week, the judiciary, the Muslim Judicial Association, they are going to launch the Juma Circle. Juma Circle means that they are launching a circle that is Sharia compliant. These are some other sectors that we really need to extend to, so that should they have insurance issues, we are there and we are ready to serve them. The second last is strategic global partnerships. Of course, with established players within this region and even at the global level. Finally, mass awareness and sensitization in order to increase the penetration and also to refute the misconceptions about it. In conclusion, I have some few brief statements. Number one is, it is our time to take the risk. If the insurance companies were insuring against risk, I think with Takaful, let them also open so that they can take on this risk for better benefit. Number two, let us at least begin with a step. I have seen in the regulation there is a provision for windows. If you cannot go fully fledged Takaful system, then start with the window, and along the way, after mastering the etiquettes of the game, then you can go full blast. And then the third is, we are at your service. Of course, Takaful, generally, it is centering about Sharia compliance. And my being here as a Sharia expert, as the head of Department of Sharia, it is a clear statement that we stand side by side with you so that we can see this dream coming true. I want to emulate my predecessor, and I had seen him several times, always concluding the speech with quotations. So let me also open a quotation by David McCullough Jr. It says, "Climb the mountain not to plant your flag, but to embrace the challenge. Enjoy the air and behold the view. Climb it so you can see the world, not so the world can see you." I know the brilliant brains have understood it. Thank you so much. And once again, I'm grateful for this opportunity.
Wow, what a wonderful presentation from Dr. Hafiz. Let's kindly give him another round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been reminded that emergencies are real, and Takaful offers a fair, ethical, and inclusive way to protect our communities. We have also been reminded that it opens new doors for the insurance sector, expands financial inclusion, and strengthens trust, especially among those who are seeking Sharia-compliant option. Yes, like the doctor has highlighted, there are challenges that exist, definitely, but the opportunities are far, far greater.
licensed. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the team that has worked tirelessly to see that we have the regulations in place. We can create 2 lines. We can create 2 lines so that we can all fit in. We know we have those that are Marcos, maybe you come this side because I also have to find where I go. Are we all there? Okay. Of course, I will not invite the press because they don't usually want to get into photos. We can now hand back to the MC for the day. I thank you so very much for this moment. Thank you. The press, I know you would like to have a few questions with the CEO. We've organized out so that our guests can continue with the program. I know we're going to have the CEO and the keynote speaker for this interview. Thank you so much. Michael?
Okay, thank you very much. So we are going to have our tea break, and yes, I'll request that we take the room. As you get out of this door, there is another door just ahead, straight. That is where we shall collect our tea from. The people working on that are ready. They are ready for you. And I'll invite the 2 tables, the table for our scholars and the table for the directors at IRA to lead the team. We shall have a tea break of about 30 minutes, and then we shall resume with the next presentations. Thank you.
Insurance ze myaka je mugidde motoka ne third party ne compress nende tade ku motoka sijina chenje taagako if possible byandiviridde woddala kubanga bofuna botomera omuntu mukada akamotoka oba muntu bagwa mu motoka yo gatekuli ngaiko third party insurance bagamba sasula omuntu police ne kwara ne kusiba mbadde ndoza bwe nsomera omuntu ngoyo waba gwa motoka yake insurance omuntu yanadde adinga ne insurance ne musasula ne bandeka baji bagate sasula omuntu kalebe nyambati genda ku comprehensive tuziteka kono mara omwaka tunakyofunye tofunye mu buzibu tofunye muki ubati banza at least half of the money zinasasula yo nga bana wanzo ngamoroka twinshwase milioni 2 omwaka at least banani maze ko banga sinache claiming zeyo bani banza ka disi kitundu nga milioni 1 tu insurances otamba no mwere bukugwa ku magulu ngogendo o claiming amungenze kusaba cyo bwa abantu bafuna accident batagana ku claiming sente ne mukubanga insurance ekutambuza no kowa no tukano ganti wa kyande kiringera bya court nebogera mu court kante jja kusasula bakusasula bya insurance babi insurance temuli mageti senga sibaka byandi video da kwate twina je tufunamu nzenga omugoba sina kyendifunamu yeti ndisasudde at the end of the day ne musabaze netana kyagifunamu kati anayi n'okufunamu be bafunamu ba government wano munnafu yafuna accident wano yafuna accident moroka ye ne banditomera n'atomera motoka yoli insurance yandibadde kwate moroka zombi nezisasula ye n'akivaamu kuba yateeka comprehensive bamuwako sente zize oli tebamusasula ensobi gye yakola n'akola emmoroka ye eyo iti agikola oyo liki yakola ng'akwata mmotoka ye nga gikuba ku polisi emmotoka y'omukwano gaffe yabula n'okula afutu nawe lwakuba gamba nandibadde ne kampuni eyo tekirala nafuna mmotoka ffe ya kampuni yafuna accident 1 era insurance yemu eyo negana otusasula era bamala genda mu national insurance biki sima users biki ebyo Uganda national insurance users oba ekikuga ekitongole bya insurance kye kyatuyambako tusasula naye nga insurance zonna okusasula abantu oba okusasula emmoloka babonyaabonyezza abantu era kyokula ffe emmoloka twaziba kuteekako comprehensive ne buno busade pate senga siteeka nti teeka olina oteeka oditeekako sate tuteekako insurance terina mugaso batubonyaabonyezza nnyo sakisoboka gavumenti yandibijjeewo tetuna kye tufunamu nze omukuba sifunamu n'omusabaze tafunamu oba gwe ntumedde ba munnange kati eyambaani
insurance etuyamba nti singa ngifunye nga gavumenti eginfunidde etuyamba polisi obutatukwata ku kkubo okuba nti ngiyina naye netuyambako nti singa oba ofunye obuzibu nga bakutomedde ofunye accident ekisinga obukulu tebatuyambako awo olw'ensonga nti abakutomedde asobola okusinga amagezi n'akola ki ne batakusasula omusango ne gukusinga naye ng'ate olina emisolo so akutomedde asobola okusinga simanyi lwaki naye nga ye etuyamba olw'ensonga polisi weba egirabyeko ku piki tesobola kukwata.
Insurance nimanyiko it means maybe insuring yourself, your life and your property. Mostly they have not done anything because most people suffer most people suffer because they are not being insured and begamba bafuna ebizibu naye tibayambirwa as in when someone gets a problem kufuna insurance as in insurance people coming in it takes a long process or they don't come completely.
Nze nandirabye oba nanditeesezza bwe nti before omuntu nga tannaba kuyingira mu kampani eyo nakuteekayo sente ze yandibadde nga kampani nga yo kampani esooka nesomesa abantu ne bategeera kiki ddala kye bagenda okukola ki okuyingira. Olwaleero abantu baffe basomyeko aba tebakoze eki tebasomyeko naye ate ku abo abasomyeko era osiŋŋaananga 70% asobola okulaba oluzungu ng'asobola okusoma bulungi naye nga tasobola kutegeera biki bakoze eki biki bebategeeza mu lupapula olwo. So kaakati kyalibadde kyavunaanyizibwa nga kampani nesooka ejja nesomesa abantu omuntu n'asooka nnyonnyoka n'ategeera omugaso gwa insurance n'ategeera obuwaayiro bonna obukola ki obukwatagana ku insurance nti bw'okola bwoti tujja kukuyambira wano bw'okola bwoti tujja kukuyambira wano bw'okola bwoti tujja kukuyambira wano. So kati mu mbeera eyo nti kampani yandibadde esomesa abantu ate n'abantu bennyini ne bafaayo okuba nti bamanya kiki kye bagendamu nga tebannaba kuteekayo ensimbi zaabwe. Abantu bangi wakati Uganda abantu babanyaze olw'okuba nti mu mbeera gye batategeera olulimi tebalutegeera lubakalubiriza naye abanga abantu bakoze eki beetamu ekintu. So mu mbeera bwetyo wekiri buze wendaba sebo kati so abantu basomesebwe n'abantu bategeere kiki bakola ki ate nabano kampani nga yo ebeere ya mazima nti kyebegambye omuntu ng'ekimugambye nti nja kukuyambira wano nja kukuyambira wali kampani ebeere ya mazima etuukirize kyebekoze eki ekisinza okuba nga kitamanya ga kampani ezo kyamazima gakola ki amazima gabula. Kati abanoga okusinga nti wagenda okuyambibwa yeekwasa kali n'abanga abantu bakoze eki tebayambiddwa. So nga ate omulamwa ga kampani guba gwatandikibwawo kuyamba baki omulamwa gwayo mulamwa mulungi naye obuwaayiro bateekateekamu oba olumu bulemesa abantu.
Insurance kyengimanyiiko eyamba abantu. Ekyokubiri etusevinga mu bizibu nga twagudde mu buzibu mu bubenje nga ki. Ekyokusatu inshuwa kyengimanyi nga gw'omuntu wafudde abaana bo bakola ki balina engeri gye babenefitingamu balina engeri gye bafunamuko. Ekyokusatu kati bwemba afunye nga accident oba nga ki bajja ne bandaba mu ddwaliro then ne bakola ki ne balaba bwendi ne bampayo kasente kange kenkoze eki naye kizibu kyesitamanyi engeri gye bakola mu insurance. Ate ekyokusatu maama bw'aba omukadde nnyo obanga alina ebulwadde lwadde afunye atataako oba pressure oba ki nekiwe yesobola okukola ki kuyamba kubanga kisinziira ku ki ku akawunti yo. Kati nganze nina akawunti mu banka Finance Trust Bank. Finance Trust ye banka yange. Kati nagula youth account. Youth account eyo senga manjagala okuddayo ku ssomero balina engeri gye basobola kunsupportinga muko katono kubanga batuyigizaako okubyensure ebyo byemmanyi.
Insurance nze manyi nti no bantu abalina ku ssente be bagula akawunti ne bateekayo ssente zaabwe bw'aba afunye obuzibu inikeso oba yaguddewo ya bulamu bw'alwala eba esobola omujjanjabako oba motoka ye eba efunye obuzibu nga gye yataddeyo ne bamuliyirira. Kyekyo kyemanyiko kyokka naye nze manyi nti abagagga be babisobola ebyo naye omwavu simanyi oba kisobola oba nedda.
Insurance nungi kuba insurance bw'obanga ofunye akabenje ogenda mu process yayo nekusasula. Insurance esobola okukuwa ebintu bingi iza kubanga ennyumba yo eyide nga wagenda mu insurance. Insurance nungi nnyo esobola okuyamba era ennyumba yo negikuddiza nekusasula ennyumba. Ne PPK eno insurance zino zetusasula naye bwe mbanga nfunye akabenje insurance enkola ki ensasula bwembanga ngoberera amateeka gayo nga begakola ki nga begalagira. Insurance teyina mutawaana okujjako abagiryaza amanya be bagireetera ekizibu naye nga insurance ya amateeka gayo eddiza omuntu singa obeera ng'ofuddeyo osasudde insurance ate ng'ogoberedde amateeka gayo obeera clear.
Insurance is like it is there for making recoveries. So it depends which type of insurance you are insuring something to. Like is life insurance, like property insurance, things of that kind. So it depends on which kind of type of insurance that you're insuring to. The disadvantage of insurance, the only thing that you always get like something they may just call like a compensation after something that has happened. Like assuming you're just been insured in an accident, you can keep on paying for an insurance, but all in all, but you don't get an accident. So you find that you keep on paying for something that something that is not happening. Okay, so one way or the other it becomes a disadvantage. So you may find that I can pay an insurance for a monthly, but I spend the whole year without having anything that has occurred on me. So you find one way or the other is a disadvantage on my side. Like advantage of it, like it helps you in case something can happen on you when you really you have nothing where to begin from. So then it becomes a very step up where you can begin from. Like it helps you. Like when you're assuming you have an insurance for
nga nokola accident bekwasa obusongasonga bungi esoose bayinza okubuuza olina pamiti naye bwe nali nsasula bwe basasula insurance tebambuuza pamiti bwe mbavuga ekidduka nga kiriko insurance buvunanyizibwa bwa insurance kujja kulaba ndi ntya nensasula sente zange kuba mala kisasula insurance. Ekyokubiri abantu ebitongole ebyo bikozesa abantu bikozesa abantu okubajamu okubalyamu ssente naye nga tebibasomesezza toge by'insurance ebisomesa abantu wabula kyo bwe kijja tigamba nti kakale epitiyo twagala insurance sikale fu good insurance bebaako tekinetagisa funa lawyer ng'osanzeeko insurance nga nasasula bansasula ezange nenswalinga pikipiki yange oba motoka yange nsanzemu ekipa y'omwenge mu motoka olina bukakafu ki nti nze mbadde nywa omwenge ogwo nsanzemu ekipa y'omwenge mu motoka era sigenda kusasula ennyumba yange wagisiigisa langi y'amafuta owulira sijja kusasula mbadde mmanyi okujja okuinshwalinga ennyumba yange sooka ojja ogirambule bwomala ogirambula okize ngiinshwalinge mu inshuwalensi yo okuinshwalinga pikipiki yange mba nshwalinze pikipiki yange nange tekyeba gibba tombuuza nti lwaki bakukubye ennyondo egindi emotoka piki obagikubiddeko omuntu ogiwundi ennyondo wasigawadde ogivuga kubanga naginshuwalinga so abantu abantu abo bafubye bakoze kyamaanyi okusika obusomyo mu ggumba ly'ensiri eryente ne balireka
insurance tiyandibadde yo nga insurance naye obuzibu bweyina nali ndabyeko ne beesasudde waliwo be yali esasuddeko naye nga baayita mu buzibu bw'amaanyi olaba nti basasulwa naye yo nga yo tiyandibadde mbi naye okaluubiriza kwetamu batuuka okukusasula n'ebyo bye bagamba nti oba tugeze singa oba otwala ku mukwano gwo muyinza okuba mulinawe mufaana osanga mukwano gwo ng'anyweddemu n'omutwalako singa mufuna akabenje awo nga tonnamutuusa bwe basanga nga yaddayo balina ekigiraasi ky'omwenge oba kyokolo n'egwamu ey'eccupa ya bbiya bagaana okusasula bwe ekyolukoba kyo kisaana omuntu yeesiba olukoba naye waliwo obuntuntu bwe bagenda nga bayingira mugoloba nti ate oyinza okuba kale tugeze oba oli mulwadde emmoloka n'ogikwasa munno n'akuvugako akutwala kutuuse ebulenga gy'obeera kati singa mufuna accident kati muli ku Northern bypass baga nti ati twayinsuwalinga oli gweno yabadde avuga tugenda musasula kwegamba enkola yaayo ndoza nze abandikyusizzaamu bakyuseemukko bakola amateeka amapya ng'emmoloka bwevugibwa ggwe oba bwevugibwa oli basigala bakusasula singa bakebera emmotoka ne balaba nti emipiira gyayo gibadde mirungi eri mu mbeera nnungi balina okukusasula naye sikugoberera ebyo ate ekyo kandi mbaddemu eccupa tuyinza okuba nga twabadde ku ppata eggulu kati nga ngivuga ngitwala ku mazzi siri mutamiivu naye mulimu eccupa ngenda zirekayo gye twajja omwenge kati bwefuna accident ne bakyesibako nti ate mwabaddemu eccupa z'omwenge basooke bankebere nabadde ntamidde bimba satamidde mbadde sitamidde naye ng'eccupa mweziri bansasule kuba eccupa size zaadde zivuga nze nabadde nvuga zekyenda abandi badde bakyusaamu
abo aba insurance batumbaavu nnyo tebalina na magezi kubanga lwaki tebalina magezi omuntu bw'agamba nti ngenda ku inshuwalinga emmotoka yange okutomera tewandyeetaaze kutandika kusiriwala ng'ogamba nti ate nga nywedde oba sinywedde nainshuwalinga mmotoka yange bwe nfuna ekizibu oba nywedde oba sinywedde oba oteekwa kugisasula ate okunywa tekitegeeza nti buli anywa yagenda okutomera ekyokubiri ekintama ne insurance nze kyovudde olaba nze kati nabivaako ebya insurance ekifo gy'okuwa insurance sente ozitereka mu kabada olw'ensonga bw'omala okuba wabasasula insurance yo bw'omala okufuna ekizibu nga baga nti genda osooka oyiye wojja sente ogikole then olyoka ojje tukusasule balinga bamalaaya omuntu wamuwa omwana wamutika olubuto nti sooka ompe sente ndyoke nkuwa omwana wo era nze ebyo ebya insurance byantamira ddala saagala tebiri mu magezi babijjewo
insurance emyaka gyevugidde emmotoka ne third party ne compress nenetadde ku mmotoka sijina kyenjeetaagako if possible byandiviriddewo ddala kubanga bw'ofuna bw'otomera omuntu mukale akamotoka oba muntu bwagwa mu mmotoka yo nga eriko third party insurance bagamba sasula omuntu polisi nekwala nenkusiba mbadde ndoza bwe nsomera omuntu ng'oyo waba gwa mmotoka yange insurance omuntu yalwadde adinga ne insurance nemusasula nze ne bandeka lwaki bagala tesasula omuntu kalebe ennyambali genda ku comprehensive tuziteekako nomala omwaka nga tunakyofunye tofunyemu buzibu tofunyemu ki lwaki tebanziza at least half of the money zinasasulayo kubanga ayinza okugamba mmotoka insurance miliyoni 2 omwaka
eyide nga wagenda mu insurance nnungi nnyo esobola okuyamba era nyumba yo negikuddiza. Nekusasula ennyumba ne pipiki eno insurance zino zetusasula naye bwe mbanga nfunye akabenje insurance enkola ki ensasula bwe mbanga ngoberedde amateeka gaayo nga begakola ki nga begalagira insurance teyina mutawaana okujjako abagiryaza amanya be bagireetera ekizibu naye nga insurance ye amateeka gaayo eddiza omuntu singa obeera ng'ofuddeyo osasudde insurance ate ng'ogoberedde amateeka gaayo obeera clear.
Insurance is like it is there for making recoveries. So it depends which type of insurance you are insuring something to. Like is life insurance, like property insurance, things of that kind. So it depends on which kind of type of insurance that you're insuring to. The disadvantage of insurance, the only thing that you always get like something they may just
Director Legal and Secretary to the Board of the Insurance Regulatory Authority. She has ably led the team, the drafting team, to come up with these regulations, and she's going to present about the regulations. Please allow me welcome Mrs. Francesca Kakoza.
I just pause and point. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. We've just had breakfast. I thought that would be a stronger one. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I would like to welcome you to this workshop where we engage you as stakeholders and take you through our regulations, but also the industry that we are, through Takaful and Retakaful, which we are launching today. Thank you so much for coming, and I know that when you leave here, you'll be much more advised and able to go out to the industry and set up Takaful institutions or Takaful windows. Before I start my presentation, I would like to recognize my team that worked tirelessly on these regulations and got them out within record time. We usually take a lot of time getting regulations through, but this time we really tried. And so let me recognize our manager, Regulations, Drafting and Compliance, Mrs. Ethel Mulondo. Our senior officer, Regulations, Drafting and Compliance, Mike Onjenga. And our legal officer, Regulations, Drafting and Compliance, Gerin Magezi. The legal department has 17 members, but though that's the core team that worked on these regulations and has also been very instrumental in organizing this workshop that is bringing the regulations to you. Of course, we didn't work separately. We work with everyone in IRA, but most of all, we worked with the supervision team headed by Director Bernard Obel. I know he will introduce his team because he's going to speak to you again later on. So thank you so much, Ethel, and your team for the work that went into these regulations. I would also like to appreciate the Ministry of Finance. I know, I'm not certain there's a representative here, but of course the ministry is the one that approves these regulations. And of course the drafters, the Ministry of Justice. Irene, you're very welcome, and thank you so much for the support you gave us in issuing out, in drafting, but also the approval process for these regulations. Thank you so much, we appreciate. Okay, so I'll go directly into the presentation. My task today is to talk about the regulations. What is in there, what you should expect in the regulations, as well as your compliance obligations. Of course, this is not in isolation. This is for those that are going to apply for the Takaful window and also the Takaful operator's license. So, but that said, this is also applicable to everyone because this is what is going to regulate Takaful insurance in Uganda. So just a brief introduction. I know we put executive summary, but that's not it. So just a brief introduction. Michael talked about where we've come from. We came from afar. Introduction of Islamic insurance did not just start with the insurance industry. We started with the banking industry actually coming up to change their Financial Institutions Act 2004 to incorporate Islamic banking. Now, like Michael said again, we need an ecosystem for Islamic banking. They could not survive alone. And so a lot more was done subsequently to introduce Islamic insurance. So when Islamic banking was introduced, we also were doing a lot of work towards coming up with Takaful regulations, but that was what started the whole process. And now we are here, and like you've been told, we've licensed our first Takaful operator, that is Tamini Bank. I don't know if we have any representatives from here, but we also have other institutions that are offering Islamic finance products, so really going deep into Islamic finance, and that's the Microfinance Support Center that Doctor talked about. I was actually there when we started the journey of Islamic finance, as well as, of course, we have Salam Bank, which is the #1 bank for Islamic banking. So there's a lot that has been done. It is still a nascent industry, but there's a lot that has been done. And now that we have launched, we are going to go far ahead. Okay, so the rules here formalize Sharia compliant insurance based on mutual assistance, risk sharing, and prohibition of those three things. Doctor talked very comprehensively about those three things that are prohibited by Sharia law. First of all is gambling, which is maisir, uncertainty, gara, and of course riba, which he talked about. Those are things that are prohibited in Islamic finance and really under Sharia law. And so Islamic insurance also adheres to those things. And that is what the regulations, amongst others, are setting out to regulate and also give guidelines to the industry on. So the framework will introduce two classes of insurance. #1 is general insurance and general Takaful insurance and family insurance. In the conventional side, you could look at general Takaful as general. General insurance, and then family as life insurance. If you want to do a comparison, they're not exactly the same, but you could compare them. And then I've talked about Tamini as our first insurance company. Now, once again, Doctor has talked very much about this. I don't want to go into it, but maybe briefly, Takaful is a contract of mutual assistance in which participants contribute donations to a common pool. Like we are saying, this is not premiums like we do in conventional insurance. This is donations or tabaru. So this is a contract of tabaru, donations. The participants in the pool are just donating their funds to that Takaful fund, which is then going to be used to cover them. And like Doctor said, at the end, if any money remains after claims and other expenses, then that money will go back to the participants as the surplus will go back to the participants as their funds. So the contract format, we'll go into that later on, but I wanted to do a comparison between conventional insurance and Takaful so that as we go on this journey, we know where we're going. I'm short-sighted, so they're giving me a lot of problems, so allow me to come a little closer. So we're going to compare Takaful and conventional. So just to give you a snapshot of the difference, in terms of ownership, in the aspect of ownership, we're saying in Takaful, participants collectively own the fund. Thank you very much. Yes, so in terms of ownership, the participants own the fund, and of course for conventional, as you know, the insurer is the owner of that insurance company, and also owns the premiums and determines how they are used apart from paying claims. Then we have the profit motive. In Takaful, surplus returns to the participants, as you've already noted. And of course, for conventional, profits accrue to the shareholders of the insurance company. So again, that's a difference. The other one is contracts. In conventional, you have your normal insurance contract, which is between the policyholder and the insurer and beneficiaries if they are there. But here, what we have are two types of contracts. We have the Wakala contract and the Mudaraba contract. Doctor talked about those, but I'll also go into them later on. Now, in terms of prohibitions, whereas there might not be so many in conventional insurance, of course, the principles apply in conventional insurance, but in terms of prohibitions, in Takaful, we have those that I talked about already, the uncertainty, the gambling, which is not allowed, and of course, the interest, which again was addressed earlier. Then in terms of risk, when you're talking about a Takaful contract, it is risk sharing, not risk transfer, like we have for conventional. So for conventional, you have the policyholder transferring your risk to the insurer. But in Takaful, what we have is risk sharing. It's us participants sharing our risks together in terms of mutual assistance, solidarity, and brotherhood. Okay, so I hope we have, in addition to what has already been said, we have a proper difference in terms of those two contracts. This Michael already talked you through the journey where we came from, 2018. We're now in 2025. Previously, we had the Takaful guidelines, which were meant to guide the industry on how to bring their Takaful proposals, Takaful operator or window to be licensed. But now we've turned them into regulations which have force of law. And so these are now going to apply, and the guidelines fall on the side, although they were incorporated in the regulations. Okay, this we have already talked about again. Participants, we already know who that is. Contribution, we already talked about that. Contributions from the participants as opposed to premiums. We talked about the Takaful fund, where the contributions that are given by the participants go. There must be a fund where they are collected. And of course, Retakaful, which is an equivalent of reinsurance, which is a Sharia-compliant reinsurance to spread the risk among Takaful operators. So on this other side, conventional, we have reinsurance. On the other side, we have Retakaful. And then, of course, we have the Takaful window, which I'll talk about later. Again, we have said the business of Takaful is classified into two, that is general and family. And under each of those, we have different items or risks that are covered, and that is motor, property, liability, health, and other non-life risks under general. And then under family, you have the life, the savings, investment funds, and other Takaful products. So again, this was already spoken to. Okay. Now, when we go into the business, that has been also spoken about up there, family, general, Retakaful. But I'll focus on this second bullet down here. When we license Takaful players, what we're doing is we're going to license a Takaful operator, and that is an institution starting from the beginning. In other words, you've not been doing any insurance business. You want to do Takaful insurance, so you come to us and we'll license you in accordance with the licensing requirements provided in the regulations. And then we have a window. Now, the window is for the conventional players, those that are doing conventional insurance, but would like to venture into Takaful insurance. So the window is there for you. You can establish what we call a window so that in your business, you establish that unit for Takaful and, of course, ensure that it's compliant with everything that's required under Sharia law. Okay? So, again, going now to the different people we are licensing or different players. This is all in the regulations. Now, for a Takaful operator, like we've said, you're starting from the beginning. You're going to do Takaful insurance. You're coming to IRA to get an operator's license like Tamini has done. And so the application, according to the regulations, is going to be done in accordance with Form A, Schedule 2. There's a comprehensive form behind those regulations where you should go to fill in the application form, and it also guides you on other attachments that you're supposed to attach to that application. Then these are the things you're supposed to do. Of course, your Takaful operator license has to indicate what class of insurance you're going to do. Is it general? Is it family? We already did that separation, so it should indicate that. And then, of course, you have to provide proof of payment of the prescribed fee, certificate of incorporation, and all the others that are required for us to make a decision to give you a license or not. And then, of course, Retakaful is the reinsurance alternative, where, again, you have to apply for that license with IRA. The Takaful window, I've already talked about that. That is also in the regulations. You realize I didn't quote regulations here, and it's intentional, because I need you to go there and look at those regulations and actually identify those regulations and read them further. So in terms of Takaful window, we've talked about that. licensed insurers may apply to operate a Takaful window. And from what we've heard, I think you had the video that was showing before. I'm certain most of those people will run to Takaful because they know they are going to be compensated, but also get part of the surplus at the end of the day. And so for those that are in conventional insurance, please, this is an opportunity open for you. And of course, if you do decide to open up a Takaful window in your conventional insurer, these are the applying requirements. First of all, you have to have separate accounting for your conventional business and for the Takaful business. Then second, your governance and compliance has to be different because this is Sharia compliance. It's a different ballgame from conventional. And so your governance has to be in accordance with the regulations. Like we shall see, there has to be a Sharia committee. And there are things that are applicable to that Sharia committee that you're supposed to implement, of course, as well as the control functions that are required for this particular business. Then, of course, you have to obtain approval before using the term Takaful. So don't just come out of the blue and say, oh, I want to open a window. Let me start and put in place all these things. No, you have to be approved to actually use the word Takaful, but also to carry out Takaful business if you're a conventional insurer. The licensing requirements, we've already spoken about those. Application forms and prescribed fee have to be paid. And of course, you have to show us the organogram for your organization. How is it for the window or the operator? How are you going to be running that business? Who are the people going to be there? How are you going to frame them so that they give us effective, they effectively carry out Takaful business? Then, of course, the business plan and product outlines, products, yes, you have to give them to us as well. Audited financial statements, and then, of course, Retakaful arrangements and proof of minimum capital. Like we shall see later on, we are not applying the Takaful regulations in isolation. We have regulations that have existed on the conventional side, and these are going to be applied to Takaful business as applicable. We are not going to take everything, but whatever applies to Takaful will be applied. So in the regulations, we indicate the specific parts where you're going to look at the other regulations for you to be able to carry out your Takaful business effectively. Now, for example, we'll see further that when you go to conduct of business, it might not be specified in the regulations, but that means that you need then to go back to the licensing and governance regulations under conduct of business, which is part 4 and part 5. Go there and see what the regulations require you to do as a Takaful operator and a Takaful window. Okay? So when we go to governance and Sharia oversight, again, this is something that's provided for in the regulations. First of all, the regulations provide for governance structure. And they specifically say these are established in accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Insurance Act, Part 4, Part 5 of the Insurance Licensing and Governance Regulations 2020. And these regulations. Now, like you can see, this is one of the areas where we are referring to the licensing and governance regulations. So again, for a Takaful operator or window, when you need to know the regulations and the rules that are governing your governance structure, you need to go back to the regulations, licensing and governance regulations, refer to them and see what they require. Because in terms of that, they are going to speak about the board committees that you should have as a player, as well as the particular requirements for those committees. And then it will talk about the control functions, amongst others. So you need to go back to those regulations, refer to them, so that you're then able to carry out your business effectively. Now, when we go to Sharia committee composition, the regulations require that a Takaful window and a Takaful operator must have a Sharia committee. Now, this Sharia committee is independent of management and also independent of the board. The board appoints the Sharia committee, but in carrying out their work, their work is not approved by the board. You know, in the conventional way of doing business, the board is the ultimate approver for policies, for most procedures related to the insurance business and other strategic issues. Okay? But in this case, they will appoint the Sharia committee, but they will not, the Sharia committee will not be reporting to them or recommending to the board to approve the products, approve the policies, etc. And that has been done intentionally because what we're looking at is the Sharia committee is a very specialized committee, understands Sharia law, is very well versed with Islamic finance, and is able now to give that guidance to the insurer or the Takaful window about Sharia. And they will be the ultimate decision maker in terms of the business that is being operated, the products that are being run. Okay, so they're independent of management, although they're appointed by the board. And then lastly, they provide Sharia guidance, approve products and issue annual reports. Then management, in the way it operates, of course, also is required to support the Sharia committee. And what they do is the Sharia committee might need information, might need to know what's happening in terms of compliance with Sharia law in running the business. And so the Sharia committee will be able to consult or liaise with management for any information requirements that they need. Now, what we're saying here is ultimately, we are not saying the Sharia committee is a different board or we are introducing a different board in the organization. Not at all. This committee is under the board, but we are emphasizing its independence so that we ensure that everything that is done there is actually Sharia compliant. Governance duties of the Sharia committee have been provided there. Establish Sharia policies and internal audit function. Review investments, operations, and surplus distribution. Remember, we talked about the surplus distribution later on. And when you go to the regulations, you'll also note that when it comes to distribution, there must be an agreement between the operator or the window and the participants. So that agreement and what goes in there is also looked at by the Sharia committee and of course approved by the authority. So that is the Sharia committee. Then when we go to operations and compliance, like we know in the conventional insurer, they have their underwriting department, they have risk department, credit, etc. All those departments that need to work together to bring the products to the public. And so even in the Sharia operator or window, again, we have operations and compliance. Now, one of the things we talked about is when the participants bring their donations, when they decide to cooperate and work together for mutual assistance and solidarity and brotherhood, they are cooperating to have that money placed somewhere so that it caters for their claims, but also other expenses. And any surplus can then come back to them, especially if that surplus also involves that the money has been invested, there is a profit, something is coming back to them. So we have the fund, a Takaful fund, that is operated by the operator or the window. Like we said earlier, these funds must be separated. The Takaful fund must be, especially for a window, it must be separated from all the other funds of the conventional insurer, but also for the operator, where you have different funds, they also have to be separated. This has to be a separate fund in the operator as well. So in terms of fund management, what we're saying is maintain separate funds for shareholders and participants, no loans between them. Then all contribution must be credited to the Takaful fund. The operator only earns its fee. Doctor talked about the different contracts and he focused, I think, on the Wakala contract where you have an agency principal contract. So the participants are the principals and they are hiring the Takaful operator to actually operate the insurance company, run the funds, pay the claims, as well as invest them. So where you have a Wakala model, what we are saying here is you have to credit all the contributions to the Takaful fund. The operator is only going to earn a commission or a fee out of this. Okay? So that's what we're saying there. And then they must invest in only Sharia compliant assets. So according to the regulations, we are very specific on the application of Sharia law to Takaful business. And so even the investments where they invest, must be into Sharia compliant assets. And you recall when they're coming to us for the license, we're going to ask them for the kind of products that they have as well as the investments they are planning to do, which are covered in their business plan. So those investments, we shall look at them also as IRA and ensure that they are Sharia compliant. So this fund or window must invest in Sharia compliant products. Like you had, I think Michael mentioned, Capital Markets Authority is already coming up with their own Sharia compliant investments. I think you called them sukuk, huh? Sukuks, yes. So they already have the investments there. Even the banks are also coming up with savings accounts. I think Finance Trust has a halal savings account. So many other operators are coming up with different Sharia compliant assets where our insurers can invest. Like we said, a written agreement governs surplus distribution and deficit recovery. Now, in accordance with the regulations, this written agreement that governs the surplus distribution must be approved by IRA. And so we will wait for that as we go into the business. Now, the other one in terms of compliance and operations is disclosure and reporting. Again, the regulations are very specific on requiring disclosure and reporting. The number one disclosure requirement is the Sharia operator or Takaful operator or window must disclose in its marketing materials, in every communication that it makes, that it's Takaful licensed. It has been licensed by IRA to actually carry out Takaful business, just like the conventional insurers do. And of course, it must also disclose its investment policy to the participants. Now, this is deliberate to ensure that whatever is being invested into, whatever these participants who are coming together, who are adhering to Sharia law, are coming to invest in, must be Sharia compliant. So it's a requirement that the investment policy must be disclosed to the Sharia, to the participants. Let me stop here and confirm that everyone is listening to me. I see people looking at their phones. We need to get this information. Please, all eyes should be here. I'm requesting so that we go into this business with all the information that we need. So we talked about the separate accounts already, as well as the internal Sharia review, prepare annual Sharia reports. These are all disclosure and reporting requirements of a Takaful and a Takaful operator and window. And of course, they are required to file quarterly and annual returns, audited financials, as well as Retakaful arrangements on a quarterly basis to IRA. So again, our supervisory mechanism will be looking into this business as well to ensure that it continues to be a going concern, but also that the business continues to be Sharia compliant. And then, of course, the other one is promptly notify the authority of any material breach or deficit. This is for the window or the Takaful operator. We're coming towards the end. Now, we now move to conduct of Takaful or Retakaful business. Now, again, when you look at the conventional insurance regulations, which is the licensing and governance and all the others, we have principles that govern conduct of business. And Doctor spoke about them. These include integrity, due skill and care, transparency, fair treatment of clients, data protection, fairness and accuracy in communication, amongst others. So there are various obligations that govern the conduct of Takaful business and Retakaful. And like you've seen here, they refer you to Part 4 of the Insurance Licensing and Governance Regulations for how the business is supposed to be conducted. So let us not run there thinking Takaful is less regulated. No. Even as you carry out that business through a window or operator, you must adhere to these principles of good business under insurance laws. And that refers you to Part 4 of the regulations. Of course, capital adequacy, again, it has already been spoken to. When we are carrying out this business, we must ensure that we have the minimum capital required as well as the ongoing capital requirements. Now, for that, the regulations refer you to the insurance capital adequacy and prudential requirements under Regulations 2025. We've just issued out the amended ones. They're available on our website. Again, for purposes of capital adequacy, minimum capital, refer to those particular regulations. Okay. Then disclosures continued, approval and license to carry out. Okay, this is what we are talking about, the continuing obligations and conduct of business that you must disclose in your letterheads, your communications, that you're carrying out Takaful business that is licensed by IRA. And of course, all these other ones. Distribution of surplus or deficit to be via a written agreement. We've talked about that. And then, of course, core obligations on investments. Again, that is something we've talked about. Whatever investments you're putting that money in, money from the Takaful fund in, must be Sharia compliant. And we have many of those across. They might not be within the financial services industry. They might be somewhere else, but they must be Sharia compliant. That is a requirement. Then there's a critical issue there that we put in that red box, which is recharacterization. And that is in Regulation 3. What we're saying here is the authority may, in compliance with Sharia, recharacterize arrangement or regulatory requirement under conventional insurance to be an equivalent arrangement or regulatory requirement under Takaful business. So what we're saying here is we might find that there's an area of Takaful business that comes up. We didn't regulate it in the current Takaful regulations or the previous, not the previous, but the conventional, what you'd call the conventional regulations. What we're saying here is if there's a gap in the Takaful business and in the conventional there is an equivalent that we can borrow from, we are going to borrow from there and apply it to Takaful business as long as whatever we are borrowing from the other side is Sharia compliant. So this is really meant to allow us to provide for those gaps that might come up. Because like we're saying, this is a new business. We're doing it for the first time. Yes, it has been done worldwide. But as you've seen the gross written premiums that I think Doctor talked about, $36.6 billion US, the global premiums. Again, compared to conventional, that is still small. So that means all of us are still learning. There's opportunity for learning. So in case there's a gap in the way we are regulating the business here, and there's an equivalent that we can borrow from on the other side, we will borrow it, bring it here, but we have to ensure that it's Sharia compliant. But again, even before we recharacterize, we will be engaging the industry like we usually do. So please take note of that recharacterization so that when it happens, we are aware. So I think that brings me to the end of the regulations. This is just the first licensed person. In terms of next steps for the regulations, by the way, the regulations are small. This is to assure everyone here. The regulations are really small. You can read them within 15 minutes and finish them. So I would really encourage us to go through and read them, but don't read them in isolation. Read them with the licensing and governance regulations, as well as all the other laws and regulations within the insurance industry. And so in terms of next steps, what we're doing now is we are inviting you to come and be licensed as Takaful operators or windows for the conventional insurers. And then, of course, we've rolled out the first stakeholder workshop. We're going to keep training the industry in terms of Takaful business and its conduct, as well as monitoring market impact. We're going to go out there, market Takaful, and ensure that we have more people actually signing on to be policyholders under Takaful. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. I hope we are better informed now about the regulations. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Director Legal and Secretary to the Authority for that very insightful presentation and talking about the expectations in terms of compliance. So I think she has emphasized the need for Sharia compliance, maintaining the ethical values that Professor talked about, and also the maintaining the independence of the Sharia committee and separation of funds. So we have evaluation forms on your desks. Please help us fill those forms. Yes, they are on your desks. You can scan and fill in the evaluation form so that we can assess this event. Yeah, someone kindly deliver a form for our professor. Yeah, so at this juncture, allow me introduce the next speaker for our last presentation today. He's our technical director. He's the director supervision at Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda, and he's going to tell us the expectations in terms of licensing. What do you need to be licensed as a Takaful operator or as a Takaful window? So allow me introduce Mr. Bernard Obel to come and speak to us about licensing of Takaful. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, participants. I think all protocols observed. I want to note is that really we thought this is a strategic workshop where decisions are going to be made when the CEOs go back to their boardrooms. But I must say that unfortunately, the turn up. I must say that most of the things I was going to talk about have been covered, basically. I don't want to start repeating myself like a parrot, but I think I'll just go to the last stage, to the last where is it? A minute. Yeah. But let me take this opportunity to also recognize my team. We have Kadu Mukasa, who has been the chairman of the Takaful committee. He also led the team to Malaysia. He was trained in Malaysia. And then we also have Salim Kakoza, who's our financial analysis. And when we receive the returns, he does the analysis. Go to the last page. So most of the issues, like I've said, have been covered. So we are just going to the last stage. Just go to the last one. Yeah, I think back a bit. Yeah, so the issue is if you are to get licensed as a Takaful operator, you need to get to give us proof of payment for application of 1 million shillings. The organogram that was mentioned by DL, then the details of the senior managers, the key persons operating the unit, the control functions, details of proposed Sharia committee members, the draft business plan, products and details of proposed Retakaful and Takaful arrangement. And on that, I think we have a small challenge because we have only one player that's offering a reinsurance on Retakaful, and that's Africa Re. But Africa Re requires that you first have to get a license before they give you clearance for reinsurance, which is not the case with our conventional insurers. Because with the conventional insurers, you must produce the reinsurance treaty first. So we are going to have further engagements with Africari and ensure that that is normalized. Because for us to approve every product, it must have a reinsurance component. But now when you tell us that you first need a license before you get the products on, I think something has to be sorted. But even, we also have to encourage the other local players. We have mandatory reinsurance players. We have Ugandari, we have Africari, and PTARI. But these other two, we also need to encourage them to produce Takaful products. Anyway, then the last slide is about a window where I thought we would discuss with the CEOs of the industry, because for them to introduce Takaful, it's much more easier than starting a new company, because you just need a window, you need a product to be approved, you need reinsurance, the capital is already there. They only have to pay 1 million shillings for that. But we have had engagements already with the industry players. Some of them have it in their strategic plan. I know one of them, they told us that they would be coming to us for that window. And the good news also from our recent meeting with the central bank, they told us that one of the banks is also coming up with a window for Islamic finance. We want as many banks as possible. Now, basically that's it. But from what our keynote speaker said, I think we need to do a lot. First of all, we need to improve the distribution channels. We need to come up with other forms of distribution channels. If it's a question of engaging the sheikhs as well, so that we can use them to spread the gospel of Takaful, I think this is one direction that we need to take. And I think it's an immediate thing that we have to do. The issue of reinsurance, I've already talked about it. The reporting requirements for Takaful in terms of segregation of funds, we shall have to issue a directive on this to clarify on how the reporting will be done, particularly for those who are already doing, those with windows, because they don't have to mix the funds. The funds have to be segregated. The issue of financial inclusion, I think this is a very important component of Takaful, particularly when it comes to micro-insurance as well. Because with micro-insurance, agricultural insurance, this is really going to help us get to the bottom of awareness programs. Investments, of course, for now, we know capital markets, like DL said, is doing it, is going to come up with products. But for now, we have Salam Bank that has got a product that can be utilized. At least we can use Salam Bank. Then the other bank that's coming up with the window is Tropical Bank, to mention. We can also carry out our investments. But also, of course, there are other members who have been saying that maybe we need to have, to allow offshore investments. But offshore investments are a little bit risky because they are outside our control. We want investments which we can see, such that somebody cannot hoodwink us that he has invested in Florida. I know the director human capital is not going to approve my trip to Florida for 2 months to investigate that. It becomes very costly. So we need to have investments, at least within East Africa, that we can monitor. Then auditors. Auditors also need to be trained on Takaful, because they are going to produce audit reports, and they need to produce audit reports which speak to the conventions, the principles of Takaful. And this is an engagement we shall have also with ICPAO. We have had several engagements with ICPAO, and they came up with those reporting standards. And for the case of insurance brokers, bancassurance agents, these are the engagements she was talking about. We need to engage them further. And even loss assessors and adjusters. They are key stakeholders in the market, and we need to tell them about this new baby in the market so that they know what to do. The other aspect which I wanted to touch on is that if a company, for instance, comes from Kenya and they are a group, we also require them to have group financial statements so that we try to monitor the contagion risks that could be involved. And the last one that I wanted to touch on is the issue of premium rates. The premium rates, of course, are the conventional, are the premium rates for general insurance business. Motor, it will still be the same. Fire, it will still be the same. And all the guidelines which have been given. But for the case of one, depends on the actuarial determination. But I think basically that's it. And thank you so much for your attention.
Yeah, thank you, Director Supervision, Mr. Bernard Obel, for that presentation. We are going into our last event of the day, which is the question and answer session. I'm sure you have a lot of questions and we have a lot of knowledge in the room. Please take this opportunity to ask your questions. We have scholars, we have technical people, the likes of Mr. Kadu, the manager supervision. We have legal people. So kindly ask your questions. I'll invite Madam Ethel Mulondo, who is the manager legal, to manage the session.
Thank you, Michael. Without further ado, I know we all have burning questions. So we're going to take about 5 to 6 questions so that we don't beat our time. Okay? We can start with the first ones. Okay? Fatuma?
Okay, thank you. My name is Abdurrahman Hamza Nawagava, Director for Education, Jamuyat Tabrik Dawa Sarafia, Nakasero. And I'm representing Amir Umma. He assigned me that duty to come for this very workshop. And therefore, I would love to add my voice maybe on the one CEO who is around, that there could be 2, because Amir is our CEO, and I'm representing him. My question goes to the issue of schools as a Director of Education. Especially these are the people proprietors and directors of schools. I engage them a lot, and they have issues with their uncertainties and their operational challenges. Now, those investors, if I'm ready to work on them and give them this product of Takaful, how or where do we begin from, other than the operational businesses that we look into? What is their product and our regulation? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, I do understand that so many of us are representing various CEOs, so that has been taken care of and it's noted. Okay, any other questions? Yes, Sophia?
Thank you very much, Ethel. My name is Sophia Chigozi. I'm a legal practitioner. Mine is about strategy. What is the Insurance Regulatory Authority's strategy as far as ensuring that everyone in this country and beyond understands what Takaful is, to inform their decision to consume it?
Thank you. Any other? Okay, I'm going to let Bernard and Francesca respond to those questions respectively. Bernard, Let me bring the mic to you.
Yes, good afternoon. I have one. My name is Nathan Laka.
Yes, Nathan.
I work with Light Events, but I also work with Sanlam Alliance as an insurance agent. My question is about the agents part of it. Is Takaful going to have agents who be earning commissions like the other insurance sector we are in? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. So I guess the first and last question go to Bernard.
Yeah, for the case of, first of all, I want to clarify that when I talked about CEOs not being, I meant CEOs of insurance companies. There was only one CEO from, I think, GA Insurance who went away. Of Alliance, yeah. Yeah, so I think that one we have noted because we really want them to be here so that they can have windows for Takaful. The Director for Education, Mr. Hamza, how and where do we begin from? Of course, the first thing is that we have Tamini. Tamini is now a principal. The best thing you can do is to engage Tamini. And you take them to your client. They are in position to tell their clients what they have on the menu. So I don't know whether you want to come in as an insurance agent or just, but for starters, you can engage Tamini. But maybe I would request you to engage Tamini beginning next month, not immediately, because there are some few issues that we first have to resolve before they can roll out their products. Sanlam, of course, you must deliver a service for something. And of course, commission definitely has to be paid. I hope it is not haram. But definitely commission has to be paid. And of course, even when Sanlam also starts a window, I know all the other conventional insurers will also want to come in because this is a product, to sell the product. We need to ride on that. And definitely they must earn commission, which of course is similar to what's already being given by the conventional, what's being earned by the conventional agents. Thank you. But Kado has something to add.
Yes, additional on what the director has mentioned, I think for the agents we shall need a bit of training so that they know exactly what the Takaful products they're selling, because we don't want to experience cases of mis-selling. So I know the Insurance Training College has already put up certificates and has programs that relate to Takaful. So probably it will be very key for agents to enroll and start to understand these Takaful products so that when they go out to the market, they are able to disseminate the information to the consumers.
But maybe, I don't know how elaborate the course is because we need something to do with COP. Something that can be done within 6 months. You know, agents are not going to be patient to get a diploma after two years. So I think registrar maybe take note of that.
Okay. Sophie, you asked about the strategy of the Insurance Regulatory Authority in terms of Takaful. I think for us, this is one of the key imperatives in the next 5 years. Even as we introduce it today or launch it today, it's going to be an imperative for us in our strategic plan. So some of the things we are looking at is market development and awareness. As you know, this journey has not started today. We started over 2 years ago to create awareness for Takaful, but also to increase our institutional capacity in terms of supervision and regulation of Takaful business. My colleague has talked about the collaboration, the partnerships with institutions in different countries, Malaysia inclusive, Sudan inclusive, and many others, even our regional supervisory authorities. We've already been collaborating in terms of increasing our capacity as an institution, but also increasing the capacity for Takaful in the industry. So a lot of training has gone ahead of us, and most of the industry players are aware of what it is and now just need to understand the regulations and how to implement. So market development and awareness are critical strategic initiative for us that we're going to implement. So that's on the part of awareness. On the part of market development, again, we're doing a lot of education in terms of Takaful and Retakaful in the industry, so that even as we're creating awareness for the public and other related stakeholders, more insurers are actually getting to know what this is about, getting interested in the opportunities, and also getting interested in actually doing Takaful windows, and of course bringing our people these products in insurance. So market development and awareness are key strategic initiatives. Secondly, in terms of the regulation and supervision, we have started the journey with the regulations, but we will not stop there. Like I said, it's a nascent industry for us, so there's going to be more areas, more opportunities for us to go back to the industry, engage you, and be able to come up with the relevant guidelines to guide the industry on how to roll out Takaful products, how to do Takaful business. So again, in terms of regulatory development and supervision, that is a strategic initiative for us where Takaful is concerned. The third one that I can talk about, and which is in our strategic plan, is digitization and of course innovation, which comes with it in terms of Takaful. So again, that is something we are looking at. And lastly, in terms of inclusion, micro Takaful products are also going to be a focus area for us to ensure that we don't stop just in the higher income levels, but we also come up with those micro products for Takaful, even as we are also focusing on micro insurance on the conventional side. So those are the three strategic initiatives that I can talk about, but there are many others that we're looking at because this is of interest to us as an institution, to ensure that there's actually we increase uptake, but also interest in Takaful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Francesca and Bernard. Any further questions? Yes, on the other table.
My name is Dana Kesande from Old Mutual Life Assurance. I have one question. It's in relation to reporting, financial reporting. Will the numbers be run on IFRS 17?
Thank you very much. My name is Winnie Audrey, the CEO from Agro Consortium. What I'm asking or requesting, in light of the Sharia committee that is envisaged in the regulations, this committee is looking at 3 persons who have relevant skills, knowledge, experience with Sharia, with Takaful, and requesting to give a picture of the kind of people envisaged with having this experience, knowledge, skills that would constitute such committees. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Kawemba Yacob. I work with National Insurance Corporation. Mine is a quick one to IRA. I've been one of those that have been to ITC, Takaful certificate program. But because IRA is going to be regulating these 2 industries, the convention and Takaful, I mean, what is your projection in terms of business threat to conventional partners? Because I understand, as a student, if someone understands Takaful, they'll never go back to conventional insurance. At the same time, we're fighting with the penetration for conventional insurance into the population, 0 point something penetration still. So as we bring in a threat to the conventional counterpart, what is IRA planning to do is in that direction? Thank you very much.
Okay, let's take the 3 questions. I guess that was still going to Bernard and Kadu, and then Francesca will respond to the other.
Thank you so much. I think the issue of knowledge and experience with Takaful, we expect these to be scholars. For the case of Salam, is it Tamini Bank? They did use they used the scholars that had already been approved by Salam Bank, and I think there were 3 or 4 of them. So these people are available, and some of them have been talking here. You can see the keynote speaker. He can be a very good member of the Sharia committee. There are several of them. Yeah, so they are not in short supply. And really, I don't think something that we should get worried about. The conventional insurance, what is IRA planning? You know, we live in a competitive world, and we are giving menus for people to, when you go to a hotel, you want to see chicken, you want to see, do you have whatever? So this is what we are providing. There are those, like the keynote speaker said, there are those who may not go for conventional insurance. They are not going to take conventional insurance because of their beliefs. So this offers an opportunity for us to take on those people. Now, even the conventional insurers may want to go in for Islamic because there is profit sharing. You know, I have been in this risk for 10 years. I've not gained anything. I need to get profit, and I'm going to get profit from. So it's a question of competition. So the conventional insurers also have to style up to see how they can also drag in the fight the Islamic, the Takaful insurance bit. The issue of IFRS 17, of course, that's a must. That compliance has to be there, and of course, it only has to be tweaked a bit. But IFRS 17 is here to stay, and something that we need to really comply with. It's an international requirement, and I think basically that's it. Maybe Kadu has something to add.
I think Director mentioned, I think for us as a regulator, we don't take it as a threat. It's we regard it as an opportunity, because based where we sit, we've noticed that the conventional insurance has had a bit of challenges. You may agree with me that when we go for this awareness, the question has been, where do I benefit? I've been insuring with you for so many years. How do I benefit? But now the answers come. Takaful is there. You'll be able now to be sharing some of these profits that probably are accumulated. So it's an opportunity to us, and we really see that it's going to work and probably increase on the penetration of insurance in Uganda.
Thank you so much. So it has come out clearly. We still have one more question. Just one. Okay.
Thank you so much. A very good afternoon, members. Mine is not a question, but rather to supplement on what Director Francesca talked about as far as awareness is concerned. My name is Dumba Ibrahim Sulaiman from Insurance Training College. As ITC, we've done something in as far as creating awareness of Takaful is concerned. This year only, we rolled out 4 trainings in Takaful, which attracted over 500 members per training. And also, we embedded Takaful as an emerging area in all our course units that we teach at ITC. That is at certificate level and also at diploma level. And we didn't stop there. We worked with the National Curriculum Development Center. We incorporated insurance in O and A levels. And I want to assure you that we incorporated Takaful in O level and also in A level as an area. So that gives the sector comfort that at least now, even the young generation is also studying about Takaful at that level. And also we've worked with quite a number of universities who have incorporated again insurance content. And again, Takaful is among the area that we incorporated in the universities. So it's something that we believe at least the awareness is being created both in the sector and also outside the sector. Every year we train over 1,000 secondary school teachers. Still we train conventional and also the Takaful area because we believe it's an emerging area that we must sensitize. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dumba. He has made it very clear the Takaful presence is going to be felt everywhere, so it's where we have to go. And about the insurers, please be comforted. The regulatory regime doesn't change so much. It just has to lean towards the Sharia principles. So most of those things are really going to stay the same. Now, we have come at the end of this training, and I'm going to invite the Director Legal and Secretary to the Authority, Mrs. Francesca Kakoza, to come and give us our closing remarks, parting shots. I know there is much we've carried from here today, Francesca.
At the Insurance Regulatory Authority, we always adhere to time. My apologies before I start. We are just 7 minutes out of our time. But let me take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to thank you so much for being patient with us in this workshop up to this time. We started at 9 a.m. You've been with us up to here. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for the attention that you've given to Takaful. I am so sure that this is the next insurance attraction for the public, but also for everyone. Because like all the speakers have spoken, this is one, and I want to draw you back to the stories that we had of all those complaints. This is one area of insurance where I'm putting my money, I'm donating into a pool where I can cover my brother or sister, and then I do not lose this money. If there's a surplus, it comes back to me. So for those that have been complaining, oh, I've been insuring for 10 years, I've not been able to get anything. This is another area of opportunity for them. So as we leave this workshop, I want us to take away 3 things. That Takaful is one of those things that IRA has introduced, not IRA, but also our ministry, which approved the regulations, and of course the government of Uganda is bringing this for financial inclusion. Like we have said, there are people that have not been able to take up insurance because it is conventional insurance. It doesn't agree with their religious principles. So this is something for you. But also for the non-Muslims. This is not for Muslims, and we want to stress that. It is for everyone. You will not be refused to enter a Takaful pool because you're not Muslim. Not at all. This is for all of us. So financial inclusion is a key thing. Everyone is included in Takaful. Do come up and take up the opportunity for the insurers and for the policy holders, prospective policy holders. Come and take up the products as and when they are rolled out. Secondly, consumer protection is still critical for us as IRA, and actually in the financial services sector, the consumer is the most important person. Because yes, we are giving a safety net to the consumer, but we also need to ensure that their rights are protected during the process, after the process, and also before we onboard them. It is very important that we give them the right information, whether it's Takaful or conventional insurance. And lastly, for us as IRA, at the end of the day, it's industry stability and industry growth. So everything that we're doing here is geared towards industry stability and industry growth. Takaful is coming in on industry growth, but as a regulator, we are also going to focus on the stability of the industry, even as Takaful comes in. So the regulations that have applied to stability in terms of prudential requirements, in terms of market conduct, market discipline, are going to apply to Takaful. as well. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to the Takaful plate. It is available for everyone, for the insurers and the policy holders. Do come and partake. We are here as IRA to continue regulating the industry and to ensure that you get value for money out of whichever side you decide to take an insurance policy on. Thank you so much. I wish you a good rest of the day, and salam alaikum.